So,
good morning.
hello.
It's Tuesday.
It is.
All right.
Right and early. Not. But I've actually been up for a while today, so I feel like awake.
That's good. It's weird. Yes. Yeah.
I'm usually like half asleep.
It definitely helps if you've been up for a little while.
Yes, it does. Thud.
Thud. So we are on our Bella Box Stitch Along.
Are.
And today is the French Market bag.
I'm so excited.
I like this one. Flea Market bag. It's the French Market box.
French Market box, flea market bag. I
So
keep
close.
wanting to call it a tote. The bag word, it just, market tote.
Market tote sounds better.
It doesn't really matter, I guess. It's just is, but.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing today. We are going to be showing you each of the steps. We do have a little bit of movie magic. While I was gone, Lisa was busy
I enlisted help.
prepping. Yes, we had all of our little Leabu elves helping yesterday. Give you guys some information.
I'm a gnome.
Oh, I'm sorry. And a gnome. Oh.
Oh, Hayden.
So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun, and this bag looks like it's gonna be really cute. And we have some alternative measurements for you. So if you have opened your Bella Box and you have looked at your velveteen and you've wondered, how in the world would I make another one of these, because the velveteen that Kimberbell sells is smaller than the size
That was my reaction when I opened it.
that you would actually need. Our gnomes and elves and Lisa came up with some alternative measurements for you, which we are going to scroll down at the bottom. You, of course, would still need your Bella Box instructions and all of that in order to get everything done. But we have just replaced the 3 different measurements that she has you cutting with some slightly different sizes so that you can use those Kimberbell velveteen
because,
pieces.
you know, velveteen's not a...
It's not something that's super
we
easy
find
to get
everywhere. Not only that, but the quality of the velveteen is a questionable item. So the pieces that we have here at the shop will work. I am having a heck of a time getting this.
Would you like some help? How about if I assist you?
I already ripped the sticker once. It's just not a good day. Me and Sticky aren't getting along today, evidently. So
I am so glad I could help.
Speaking of, the directions are calling for a sticky tearaway and a sticky wash away for this. I used sticky tearaway for the whole thing.
Okay.
The reason being, it was just easier for me, and there's going to be a little bit of that tearaway that will show through inside of the bag, possibly. If you care about that, then you could use the wash away on there, which is where they're asking for it. You won't see it on the strap, which is where they're calling for the tearaway.
Yeah.
But I can show you the piece that I have put together, and you guys can make your own decisions. So,
yes.
as can you, as a matter of fact. So, God, there's so much stuff over here.
Yep, I'm gonna make that big.
Woof.
There we go.
So this is, the only thing I don't have done on this one is the strap attached, but I have the strap made. So, oh, and there's all kinds of fuzzies. So the stitch out is, it's a little bit hard to see with the black. I did it in gray. So there's the merci and the flowers. So we're going to stitch alternately on that. And then just slightly, you can see, like I said, very slightly through the lining.
Yeah.
It's a little bit darker right behind the flower.
Sure.
Where the tearaway is.
Yep.
But you'd see the stitches regardless.
Yeah.
So I personally went for the easy route and said tearaway's way easier, and then I don't have to rinse it and deal with waiting for it to dry.
Or
and
if
all
you
of
don't
that.
rinse it and you get it wet, then it gets all gooey. So
Exactly. So I went with tearaway
tearaway it is
for the whole thing.
good win.
So that was my thought process with that. But again, wash away is nice.
Yes.
You can make your own choice. So
Absolutely.
Hello to everybody that's saying hello.
Yes.
So that is the only spot that you might see that. And again, you're going to see the stitch backs anyways. It's
Right.
just a slight little ring of white.
Right. And you could always put a little bit of like interfacing, like some of that.
You could fuse behind it if you
Yeah,
really wanted to. Yeah, absolutely.
The Kimberbell fusible
Yep.
or my favorite Easy Tee on your lining, and then you wouldn't be able to see that. And I don't imagine that would make that big of a deal in the seam allowance.
In the seam allowance.
Because it's so thin.
Nope,
So,
it wouldn't make much difference. And you'll notice that mine is not pink.
yes.
So I actually gave Sarah my pink.
She did. We had a
little
incident.
snafu. Long story. Hayden's going to get the leftovers. And he's like, what?
He's like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. It's okay. So this is not have to do with anything over there. We have to put flexi foam in all of those. So let's not make sure they're ready. I put it on the table today. So we cut all those. We don't want to forget that.
That would really stink.
It would. So.
And thread.
And thread.
We've been asked multiple times, we should look at thread today.
Yes.
So-
we should definitely look at threads and make some PDFs of the different thread choices for our thread sale. I think that would be a fantastic idea. Yeah.
We got things to talk about.
We have lots of things to talk about.
Welcome back.
Missed.
Welcome back. So
it's so nice to be missed.
I'm going to set this aside and we'll come
But
back
your
to
bag
that.
is adorable, by the way.
We'll come back
Great
to that
colors.
later. Thank you.
So that color that way that you were showing is the actual size.
That is the actual
for
size.
comparison.
I had some velveteen at home, which was that black. So that is what I used. Hi, Mom.
Bring that back out and just hold it up against their little book, because they'll have their book at home so that maybe they can see size-wise.
Can I zoom this out any? I can. All right.
Just so they can get an idea of, there you go. So the Bella Box booklets are a little bit smaller this year. They're not full size, but you can kind of get an idea of the size of your bag this way.
So that's just tucked into the corner down here.
Yeah. So a good size bag.
It is. So
And it's very cute.
It turned out really cute and a nice size. There is a clasp, a magnet.
A magnetic clasp.
That one, one of those that you can put in there, and we'll quickly talk about that. It was a little, it felt like I was digging for gold, getting my hand in there.
Oh yeah,
because
there's
seams. There's some seams that you're like, where is that? It was kind of fun getting in there, but I eventually made it all the way through over the river and through the woods to all the way around the other side. So
all right.
We have two different choices of files in two different types. So you have the Merci and you have flowers, and you have them with a little L and without. So depending upon which you are going to start with, if you're going to do the straps or if you are going to do the bag, is going to depend on which one you want to choose. So we're going to start with stitching the velveteen, which is going to be for the bag. And you want the one with the L. So that's going to be the little bit wider. The actual stitch size is 2.8 by 6.78 is the size of that design. And it has a little line, let's see.
Yeah, kind of like in the top.
Line over here, and then flowers over here. So you want to make sure that you've got that design up. That is going to give you the placement for your velveteen edges, and so that you have that space down, so that it's not going to give you too close to the seam.
Ah, yeah, we don't want that.
Because otherwise you'd stitch them right into the seam allowance.
That's
and you don't want to do that.
So we have pulled that design up, and we're going to start by doing our placement line. So this is going to give us our space for our velveteen.
Pop, pop, pop.
Yep, that sticky stabilizer is sticky.
Sticky. So I'm guessing you didn't do, hi mom, thread color.
No, but I will let everybody know what thread color we have. We are using Exquisite Color ES 503.
All right, so what I found was easiest is if I put this with my attachment to the machine up at the top, and I took my velveteen, and I am going to use, no side do I have any pinking left. Okay, so this does tend to stick and undo the cut edge just a hair. So if it starts to unravel a little bit, don't panic, you'll be fine. It's going to happen, I guess, is where I'm going with this. And I did find it easier to stand up, so I can look down and make sure that I'm even. So what we want to do is we want to fit that corner in that little corner that we stitched. So we're going to align that left edge there, and then we're going to align that all the way out. Don't try to stretch the velveteen because it will stretch a little bit. Just make sure it stays nice and smooth, and then smooth that out. If you get a bump in there, pull it back up and redo it. You don't want to get a big bump because it will stitch that bump in. So do try to make sure that you have that nice and smooth. And that means that your excess should be going up and over the back of your machine. All right. If you are concerned, literally reach back here, make sure there's nothing tucked up underneath so that you have a nice and smooth. This is not a long stitch out by any stretch of the imagination. So rock and roll.
We do have standard bobbin thread in here. The instructions do tell you to match. So if you needed to match or you were concerned, you could just wind a bobbin with your same thread.
Yep.
It's funny, I saw some people talking about this on the Kimberbellas forum, and they were not sure that it was okay to do that. It is absolutely okay to have the embroidery thread in your bobbin thread.
Absolutely. I did dark gray on my black, and I had absolutely no show through. So I did not find, I just kept an eye on it. I was like, I'm going to try it once and just see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it was fine. So on the subsequent stitch out on the green that you'll see in a little bit, and here there's nothing coming up. So
yeah.
I just didn't take the time.
Yeah, and you could absolutely do something contrasting if you wanted.
Absolutely.
It'll be really hard to see what we're doing in the picture because this does blend really well. You can see just a little bit.
It does, but it's really nice. The sheen of the thread really does reflect. Mm-hmm. So you do see the shine come through, even if you can't see the design like stitch-wise, you do see the shine of it. So you see the design coming through with that sheen coming up. And I did smooth the velveteen to all go one direction, so that at least it's not all different.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem, even though there is a little bit of nap here, it's definitely not necessary to use a topper.
Nope. And I considered that as well, but did not end up doing so.
My phone is telling me that
we're live.
We should watch us.
Oh, that would be interesting.
You should watch. It just said, I recommend watching.
Very nice.
Oh.
Man, I have a mess over here.
Does this help?
No, it's...
Oh, just all the other pieces
all
and
of
parts.
The pieces and the parts that I've got going on over here are insane. I'm making a trash pile back there.
Oh, my watch just told me happy birthday.
Aw, today's Sarah's birthday. You should all call and ask to talk to her on the phone and say, happy birthday.
I got balloons.
Aw.
That was funny.
Her watch has balloons going up the screen. That is really adorable. My watch doesn't do that.
No. You need an Apple Watch?
Evidently, I need an Apple Watch.
It has to be nice to be one day. It's always telling me what to do.
I feel super duper slighted because my watch does not do that.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh.
Yeah. I only cut 2. I was thinking 2 designs, but we need 4. Maybe we can snag Hayden on a pass.
Yeah. Maybe we can have our gnome.
Our gnome, Mr. Gnome. All right. So this is, as I said, tearaway, which also is nice and easy. So this is going to just come off super easy instead of having to cut. I can tear.
Yep.
So I'm going to just pop that out.
And I'm going to load the other design, right? We're doing Mercy.
Mercy me?
Mercy me.
Mercy.
I like Mercy better.
Mercy. All right. So what I would recommend if you want to use the Merci.
I like my version better.
That means thank you.
I know.
I would stitch that second so that you have a breakup, and I wouldn't do it in the middle. I think it'll look better. So don't do 2 flowers, Merci, and then 2 flowers. I would either do it
flower,
4th,
word.
I would either do
flower.
it 2nd or 4th.
Okay.
In your series of stitch outs is what I would recommend.
And we're going to do it second.
We're going to do it second. So what we need to do is just take your hoop and set that aside, and then get rid of our sticky. So I'm just gently tearing towards the design. And again, if you get little pieces of velveteen on the edge of that sticky, it's okay. Just be gentle. Don't rip out a whole bunch. All right. And now we're ready for the next guy. So this is all we need to do. So what we're going to do is actually line up the tips of these flowers here with the line on the next one. That is what the lineup is looking for if you're following along in those directions. So we're tearing that away, and then we are going to simply line up that next piece. So that is all we're going to do. So I just need to hoop that next piece there. Set that aside. Mr. Hayden, could you cut the one with the red tie there? 2 5x7 hoopings.
Yeah. I just sent him a text.
Oh.
And he said, how big? Thank you. And if you score it, I'll pull the paper off.
Teamwork, because evidently if I could just get them started. See what I mean?
Yes.
It's just not playing nice. There we go. I'm still evidently challenged. All right, so this is going to do the exact same thing as what we just did, except when we go to stitch, it's going to not stitch flowers. It will stitch the letters instead.
What's that?
Would it be helpful if I took them?
Sure.
Sure.
I thought he said, would it be helpful if I held them? I'm like, sure. Oh, but what he said made way more sense. All right. So should we do it on the camera over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I found this to be much easier. I was looking down on it than trying to actually see it from an angle. So the first thing that I did is folded back this piece of velveteen. You want your flowers to be right on the fold here, and then have that top edge so that you're aligning your piece nice and smoothly. Get that corner in. And then move your top piece back so that you are staying aligned here. And then smooth that out. And again, I am brushing all of that into one direction just so that it's consistent while I'm stitching. Make that look easy, huh? Mm-hmm. It's because I've done it 12 times now. All right. So again, make sure that your excess is going over the back. Make sure that it's not stuck underneath your hoop. And once you are, you can go ahead and stitch.
And so to finish this, there would need to be at least 2 more. Is that correct?
There's going to be 3 more.
3 more? Okay.
Yeah. This one takes a total of 5 stitch outs. No, 2 more. I'm sorry. You're right. So the other one's 5. The strap is 5. I'm like, one of them's 5. So I apologize. I said 2 or 4. Mm-hmm. 2 or 3.
2 or 3
would be your words.
Okay.
Yeah. I like 2. 2 would be what I would recommend, mm-hmm. but you can do whatever you want.
True that.
But I like 2. So once this is finished, we're going to take off the stabilizer, and then we would repeat and go back to the flower stitch out, so back to this first piece, and mm-hmm. then do that again. Unless you really like saying thank you a lot, and then you could stitch that over and over again too. Yeah. Whatever you prefer. But thank you. Merci. All right, so that is as fast as that went. And then we are very simply, here.
Okay.
He even got it started. Look at that. That's a good gnome right there.
Yep, he's a keeper.
He's a keeper. All right, and then there is a flower at the end of that one as well. So you would be lining that up the exact same way. We are just going to gently rip. And then I always like to tear towards my design. It gets the most possible out in one run there. And then I went back and pulled into the centers. I didn't do it all right now. I did go back and pull out what I could. So I didn't have any more than absolutely necessary left inside the design there. So we would reload this original design. And then once that first stitch out is done, you're going to bend it here and connect it the flowers just like we did with this one, and then repeat a 4th time, and then your embroidery would be done for the velveteen. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about the straps and the stitching for that. So did we do what the directions said on that? Are we going to do that?
I thought maybe we could show both.
Okay.
I have the strap here. Which is essentially, they just have you cut this in half.
That is correct.
So
it's basically a yard is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's a 35 or 36 inch.
Yeah. It's 70 inches to start with, or so it says.
I don't have straight scissors.
That's
They're way over there.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah. So if you were going to do this like the original instructions said, you would be using your strap. Do you want to show our version of this?
Of course I do.
So,
all right. So this is a ribbon, mm-hmm. And it's a pretty soft ribbon as far as ribbons go.
Yeah, definitely.
But it would still, I think, if you put any amount of weight in the bag, mm-hmm. it's going to dig in your shoulder after a period of time. So Sarah and I both went, I load a bag pretty good. How about you?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, what do we carry to work every day? About 50 pounds?
At least.
Right? So we came up with a fabric strap idea. And that's what I made here. And I did the same basic stitch out, but you wouldn't necessarily have to, you could do all flowers or whatnot. You don't have to embroider it if you don't want to.
Right.
I only embroidered one side. I did not embroider both, which is what they are recommending if you are doing this. So if you are doing the ribbon, you're only embroidering one of the pieces. The other would hide the back of the stitches.
Absolutely.
And so you don't have that roughness on your shoulder. So you would have at least that smooth edge would what you would have on you.
Yep.
So you would only have one piece embroidered, and then you would sew the other to it. And you would basically end up with the same type of thing, just with ribbon instead of fabric.
Yes.
What we changed outside of using the fabric is we discussed this. I didn't do this on my own. We talked about this. And so this is a piece that's basically ready to be sewn. Oh, so much stuff over here. Oof. And this is a piece that I have already prepped ready to stitch on. So these have been pressed in, and basically take those two pieces together and just sew the edges. What we did is we added a fusible fleece. This is ultra soft, so it's very thin.
Very thin.
So it's not adding a ton of bulk, but it is a nice soft, and it gives us just that little bit of cushion
padding.
and padding on there so that we have a nice cushioned strap instead of something that's going to dig. So that was kind of where we were thinking of adding a little bit extra oomph
Yes.
to that piece, but it's the same width as what we needed, so it would fit in the pattern the same way. These are just 3-inch strips that I cut off of whatever fabric you choose that's going to match your bag. This I thought matched the
towel.
That was the closest I could get to the
the
towel.
towel.
So for my fake bag over here,
Yeah.
that was my toweling. And I put fusible on the back of it so that it was a little bit heavier, so it fit in the bag a little bit better. And then the fusible I cut in 2-inch strips and just fused that down the center and then folded the edges in.
Yep.
So that's all I did. Super simple. And then I top stitched the sides.
Yeah.
So let's show the embroidery.
Yes.
And we will show you how to attach a second piece to it. It's just like bordering if you're doing a border from a Kimberbell quilt.
Yep.
That is basically what we're doing. And we'll talk about whether you're going to do the ribbon or whether you're going to do
Fabric.
Fabric. Thank you. Words are hard sometimes. Did you have anything to add?
Nope.
Because we talked about it and then you disappeared on me.
I did. No,
So-
that's perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. The only other thing, if you didn't want to press the edges in, you could literally sew down both sides and you could turn it. It's not super thick, so it wouldn't be too hard, but it would be way more time consuming.
It's a yard of, that's a long turn.
Yeah.
And with fleece in there, sometimes fleece sticks, makes it really hard to turn. So
Yeah, but you
this
could definitely
took
do
moments.
that. Yeah, for sure.
I would personally, I would much rather do this than turn a yard long piece of tubing. Because then you'd still have to press it when you're done.
You would, yes.
It would be
And
around.
you would still have to top stitch it.
You'd still have to top stitch
Yes.
it. So
So you really wouldn't be gaining anything except for
that
just a different way of doing it.
Just a
Yes.
different way.
Yep.
Anyways, let's start with this. So the first thing that you're going to see is instead of an L, this time you're going to get a box. And again, we're on sticky. I got lots of pieces of fabric over here. Getting warm. I have a blue bra on. Can you see it too badly? Nope. So if you forget to take the wrap, the paper off, that works really well. You can score it and then it rips really well right inside that
I
square.
bet.
Ask me how I know.
So does it matter which end we start with?
It does not.
All right.
So if you are using the ribbon, you're just like we did. We cut that one piece in half, and you're going to literally put it right on those lines. And
Thank you.
yep. And you don't need to have excess over the edge. Yep, there you go.
It's obviously not a perfect piece, and that's okay. It's a handle.
Right. It's a handle.
And I'm just going to keep my peach color
I was
in
going to
so that
say,
it
you
matches.
can certainly choose whether you want the stitch out to pop on here or blend. So you could change to white if you wanted it to blend in, or you could coordinate like we're going to do here so you can see exactly what's happening.
It's funny that the design stitches out differently. Because it definitely didn't start with a full flower.
It did not. I thought the same thing when I was watching it. I was like, that's weird.
Two different people digitizing the same design, maybe.
Maybe. So the fabric in the book.
Yeah, but
It's the sticky.
Is it the sticky or is it?
I think it's the sticky.
Okay.
I don't see a lump. Something doesn't sound right though, does it?
It's okay. I'm not using this one.
Got a ton of trouble last night. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, these are right. After all of that. But
Whoop, now we're broken.
now we're broke.
Let's go get some.
We are going to change the needle out. I stitched some last night. So with the sticky and
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
and a shredding thread. Yeah, this needle is very sticky now. Sarah will be right back with that. Here she comes to save the day.
Remember to take these out of inventory.
Yeah, I know. I got a wrap over here to remind me to do the same thing. This one?
Yep.
Yeah, that one on the paper right there is. All right. Are we backing up or just going?
Just go.
Yeah, it's nice and sticky needle.
I bet. It's really sticky stabilizer. Which is good that it's sticky. But
Yeah, plus all the stuff I did last night. I had, I did the lace charms. So it was like 30,000 stitches. And it was 7:30 before I left. I didn't go find a needle, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I knew these were small. I figured, we'll probably be okay. I wasn't thinking about sticky.
It's all good.
I wasn't thinking about sticky. All right, so this is about done. And we are basically going to do the same thing that we did before. This is where they are recommending a water soluble, and they want you to cut everything away. So I did cut it when I was doing it, but then I teared everything after the fact. Teared?
Teared.
I
like
teared
that.
it. I teared it all. Tore it. Let's try that again. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Here is hooping number 2, if you want to
Yep.
work that while I'm working this. All right. Oops, I bumped a camera. My bad. I'm not sure what I bumped or if it's even on film right now, but
It is.
all right. So I know I've got a lot going on over here. Here's the back. What you want to do is you need, this is the bottom over here. That's where my excess is. You need this line here to connect into the next hooping. So that is the one that is important. So what I do is generally just bend that back, and then I cut right on that line. You can do this from the other direction. So if it's easier, you can go this way and bend your strip back. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you are cutting on that line, because that is how you're going to get it to align. All right, so you can cut from the back or cut from the front. The important thing is that you have that straight line right there to use to align to the next hooping. And what's really important is this one. The top one, it needs to go away at some point, but it doesn't really matter when. And as I said, because this is tearaway, I did cut this and got it off, but I didn't like freak out about how close it was, because I went back later and tore the excess off. So I just made sure that I didn't have stuff getting in the way of my next stitch out. Okay.
And I changed the design so we could do the other one.
Okay.
We'll show that real quick.
All right. So let's stitch out that first piece, which is going to give us the squaring stitch for where to put squeaky piece number 2. That's very noisy. All right. So this is where I'm connecting to, is at the top. So here's my attachment, and we're going to be stitching down here. So I need to connect that straight line that we were talking about. So basically this is the way that it needs to look. So I need to flip this excess up over the top of my hoop. All right. I need to make a fold at that line, and I need to align that cut that I told you was so important with the top right there. As long as I have that stitch line aligned with the one that I just made, this will then line up, and I can pull it nice and taut and stick it in place. Okay, if I am off, I can make an adjustment. So I think I'm slightly right. That's what happens when you're talking and looking at a different camera. There we go. Okay, so that is really, really close. Yep. Okay, so here's my already stitched, and here's where I'm going. So again, the important part is that bottom straight line. We're aligning it with where we're going, and the excess that is not stitched should be coming off towards you. All right, real quick, since I'm out of stabilizer at this point. If you are stitching the cloth and you have a 3-inch wide piece, all right, what I did was I folded back if I had an excess piece. So my 3-inch strip was longer than my the Ultra Soft is a 20-inch piece. So I had
Right.
40 inches of Ultra Soft and I had 44 inches of
fabric.
fabric, right? So I have excess coming off the end. I folded this back and I aligned this straight edge for my first piece with the edge of that top square. So I was putting this here and then I folded it up and I walked it down. And by walking it, I mean I'm aligning those edges of my Ultra Soft with the stitch out that is there. And then I smoothed it, stitched on the batting. And then same thing again, I lined up based on where I left off because I trimmed my stabilizer same way. Then the next one connected easily.
Awesome.
So if you are using the fabric, that is how you would do it there.
Yep.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So
Makes total sense.
let's do this. Go back to this one. Now I have it all shifted again.
Getting shifty.
I am getting shifty over here, but I can straighten myself out.
All right, and we are going to stitch out our second version.
All right.
Hand me your thing that needs to be deducted.
Oh. Bobbin thread.
Bobbin thread. Okay.
60. White. Hey, Donna.
There we go. Now that's off our list of
We're
things
done?
to do. We're done.
Okay. Here is your other ribbon.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, for wishing me a happy birthday. I get to play around with fabric and machines and spend my birthday with everybody. How exciting. We'll be on live twice today.
Twice today.
It's like having a party.
Right?
Okay, it's done stitching. You can see how quickly that stitched out. So you would just repeat this until you get to the end. You can alternate the words, you can add your flowers in, whatever it is that you want to do to create yours. It could just be words.
It could just be flowers. It could
just
be a
be
combo.
Flowers. Yeah.
You could put something completely different on there if you wanted to. You've got tons of borders if you are a Kimberbell quilter. So you could swap in something else if you had a preference to what you wanted that to be. So lots and lots of options. So we would literally just go in here, cut at that line again. That's the one that I need. Everything else is not really important. That's the one that matters. And then we would continue to line up. You're only stitching one side.
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, you're going to have that rough stuff on your skin when you put the strap on. Okay. So that is how we embroider the strap.
Yeah.
And that is all of the embroidery.
Yes.
Then there's a little bit of sewing.
A little bit of sewing.
Little bit of sewing.
So let's go over to this spot here and let's talk about how we stitch this up. Lisa's got a bunch of really great samples. So if you're following along in your instructions, we have already done all of the rinse and repeat for the embroidery designs. We finished them on all of our pieces. Again, all you're going to do is follow either of the two lineups. You're either going to do the velveteen style lineup where your fabric is placed, or you're going to do kind of like the border lineup where those are connected.
Right. So once you have everything stitched out, it's not, nothing here is going to be hard. It's just a little weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just a little bit weird.
You just got to do it.
Yeah, because looking at it doesn't really
make any
make sense.
I would agree.
Literally just sit down and trust it, because when you look at it, you're going to be like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's literally.
I read that like 12 times. I'm like, in my mind, this doesn't make any sense. But sometimes you
but
just
when
have
you
to
actually
do it.
sit down, like when it says, okay, now just shake it and what's going to work. And I'm like, and then I did, and I was like, oh, it really does. I get it. Okay. But, okay. So if you are following along in your directions, the sewing portion starts on page 40 in the book. So we're at the very, very back, and we've got everything embroidered. So we're going to be at the very top left corner of page 40, and this is sewing the pieces together. So we are going to have our pre-cut pieces. If you are using your Bella Box pieces, which is what I've got in front of me here, Sarah's pink and the toweling from the kit. This is going to be your 14-inch pieces. Those are what is in there. What we found when we went to say, because you guys know I don't like pink, right? I went to just pull a piece of velveteen from the floor because I was like, well, I'm just going to swap out my color.
Yep.
The piece was too small. So it's 12 by 24, which isn't large enough to make the bag. So that is what created that whole mess of, okay, well, how can I make a bag with a piece of velveteen from here? So that's what those other sizes that you see scrolling along down there, that's what that is all about.
Yep.
And that's because I wanted to make another one with something else.
Yes.
So that is where that came from. So you have a line of quilting, all right, on your velveteen, and you want that towards you. All right. And you have this piece here, which is, I think it's like 27 inches by 14. And you have a piece of the towel that you should have cut 14 by 14. That is going to line up pretty side to pretty side. All right. And you are going to stitch right over here. And your seam allowance is specific. You do need to follow that. All right. That's going to make a difference. If you change the seam allowances, the pieces aren't going to add up later. So make sure as you are following along, we changed, you're getting lots of birthday wishes.
I see that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So if you are changing the size bag, we changed it to the 3/8. That's because we shrunk the bag size, we shrunk the seam allowance.
Yep.
So it matters. If you want to make a little baby purse for a little girl, you could shrink everything in half. You would want to make it a 1/4 inch seam allowance. That's literally, it does matter. All right.
Yes.
So it's not quite quilting. All right. But the seam allowance does make a difference. So make sure you're paying attention. And the velveteen likes to shift when you're sewing. So though I am not normally a pinner, you are going to want to pin or wonder clip this project because things are going to shift on you. I can guarantee it. All right. So make sure that you're pinning this project. Again, I'm not normally a pinner, and I wouldn't normally advocate that a whole lot, but
it's pretty squishy, so that's kind of understandable.
This time it's going to shift and stretch and maneuver around on you.
So either pin it or use your wonder clips or something like that.
So we are going to sew this side seam here, and then we will have a piece that is all stretched out like that. All right, and you're going to want to press this guy over. Make sure you're using a pressing cloth. You don't want to put your iron on the velveteen.
Yes.
All right. So that is going to take us through step 3 on page 40. Then we're going to take our lining, which Sarah, I'm sure you guys are shocked. She alternated and put pink in there.
Imagine that.
Can you guys believe that?
No.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
No.
And that one is going to be the same size as in your kit. All right. And we are going to then lay that pretty side to pretty side with that bottom piece pressed open, and we are going to stitch all the way around except for a 4-inch opening on the towel end. So over here.
So here's a little tip. If you put your lining piece on top of the piece that you just created and it's not the same size, you have a problem.
That is absolutely correct.
So,
I'm going to switch because now I have Movie Magic pieces over here that are going to give us give us these things already done. So I have alternated. These are just out of fabric. So I have some striped fabric here that looks like this. All right, so here's my towel and here's my velveteen, and then there's my lining. All right, so you can see, and these are the shrunk sizes, just FYI, because I couldn't recreate everything here. I could have added the fabric, obviously, but so once you have your pieces, your towel, the stripes are going this way. If you look in that picture, you want the stripe going up and down along that whole piece, and you are going to stitch all the way around, with the exception of a 4-inch opening over here, because you are going to need to turn that beautiful baby so you can see all your hard work. All right.
Now it's time to birth.
So we are going to birth it. Absolutely. Trim your corners so that you can get that nice sharp point out, because that's, of course, what we want. So once you have that stitched all the way around, we are now in the middle of page 40. We're going to trim those corners. Once you have that, you will have this. Dun, da, da, da. Except for somebody sewed my bag upside down. Oh, Lord. Can't good help. That's okay. So your quilting should be down here. It's okay. My bag will just
The opposite.
It'll be, well, we're not going to talk about it, but that's okay. So you are going to have
If
that.
your bag looks like this, it's wrong.
Yep. You want the quilting down here, and that's because of the way that it will sit when you turn it. But that's okay. What we're going to do then is we are going to turn. It was right the first time, but it was all off center. It shifted so much because she didn't pin it.
Yeah.
She was afraid to put pins in the velveteen, and it was really, really all over the place. So she took it out, and evidently when she put it back together, anyway, it's okay. We are going to ignore the quilting, guys. Okay, it would be down here. That's what you want. All right. Quilting towards you.
Quilting towards you.
Toweling on the
Towel
left.
on your left.
All right. I didn't notice that till just now. But anyway, we are going to take, and you are going to fold the velveteen in on itself. All right. So now we have a third of the size, and we're not planning to sew, are we?
No.
Okay. So we are going to take this beautiful little guy here, and you want it to literally come right up to the piece. So fold that directly on itself. Okay. Make sure you are all the way up onto that. Don't go over, but you want to be right at that. And you are going to sew from here to here. Whatever way is best for you. I found it easier to start here and sew off the other end, because then I wasn't pushing into where I didn't want it to be.
That's
so
totally
I would
what I
highly recommend here to start and go that way. All right. Once you have that, you are then going to fold this back. Notice there's no quilting there. You should have quilting there. That's why you want that over here. Okay. So you would have your quilting showing there. All right. Once you have that out of the way, this is going to be a little, dun, da, da, da. This little guy right here is going to be a little bit in your way, but you can push it while you're sewing. So don't be afraid to push it out of the way. It will go back to where you need it to later. Because what we're going to do is then fold this in this way. You will need to box corners. It's probably easier to box that corner before you do all of this. So you can box that one first or go back and box it later, either way.
Okay.
All right. There are instructions for boxing. They have you doing 3-inch. On the shrunk one, I would probably go down a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to lose
A big
a
portion.
big portion of your bag. So
Maybe a 2-inch.
probably a 2-inch on this size version. I would probably do that 2-inch. So you're going to measure in, make sure that you are paying attention so that it's perpendicular. You don't want a goofy corner. So make sure it's a nice perpendicular line in, and then stitch right on that line. That will box that corner. You don't need to cut it unless you really want to, but then you're going to have that raw edge. I'd rather have a nice edged fabric in the corner, because this is not a hidden pocket.
Right.
There's no additional lining. This is your lining.
This
so
is your lining, yeah.
I would not cut that off. All right. It doesn't show you to cut that off, and I don't recommend it. So leave that alone. So that's going to be there. With that here, we're now going to take and fold up at this piece here. So you want that fold to come here. And we are going to sew from here down to here. Now you'll see what I mean about this piece being in the way. Just fold it up out of the way while you're sewing. Again, I would start here and sew down. All right. Again, your seam allowance is very important. Make sure that it's where it's supposed to be at based on what size bag you're making.
Can we show them the inside of yours?
I believe we can. Maybe. We can. Of course, I've
Got it all folded nice, right? Okay.
I had to think about it. I'm like,
Right.
which way do I go?
So once
you're
you've
gonna
sewn,
you are sewing that box corner and then folding that back, and then sewing this guy here, boxing that corner and folding that guy back. And then, see if I can do this again. It's like, which one goes up, right?
right?
You take these pieces here and those fold in. And then your pieces and these come out. Make sense?
Yeah, this is the part of the bag that you really just got to do the step-by-step part and trust that it's going to work, because it does. You can see she has a finished bag.
It really did work. All right. So that is that turning piece there. As I was sewing, I'm like, this is just a square. How can this possibly gonna hold anything? I mean, I literally was, my brain was like, this can't possibly work.
Yeah.
But it
did.
It really did. It said, you know, now take these two pieces and shake. And I was like, holy crap, there it is. Okay, there you go. So the next thing is putting in your, before you turn it all the way around, is putting in your magnetic clasp if you would like to do so. You do not want to go all the way through to the velveteen. We're just doing the lining. So that was the Houdini part for me, because you have to get your hand through the lining to that spot.
To that hole that we left.
To that hole. So this is the hole, which the first one was not so bad, right? So this one is really easy to get to. But then you have to literally go all the way through everything to come over here, because there's the seam. There's no short path to this one. You have to go through the entire bag to get over here. So what I ended up doing was getting there and then turning it so that I could work it, because trying to work it blind was really, really hard to get those prongs in place and get everything done right. And then I just shook the bag out once I had that. So magnetic clasps, literally, their picture is perfect. It doesn't get any better than that.
No.
So that is exactly how it's supposed to be. You can see my hand sewing is not done. I'll have to figure out something.
I believe that can be top stitched on the
I
sewing
was
machine.
kind of
very
thinking
nicely.
that might get a top stitch
Yep.
on that one, because I'm not into that hand sewing thing. And so that is the bag portion. Then we have the handles.
The handles.
Yes. So you can see I haven't done that part yet, because I wanted you guys to be able to see where those are. So we are going to basically be taking the tips off of these points. All right. So if you're looking at your instructions, you are taking a triangle off. Again, make sure they're straight. It's kind of a bummer to have done all of this and then screw it up at that point, right? So use your cutting mat, the angles that are printed on there, line everything up before you cut. Make sure it looks really nice and straight. So you literally are cutting. You're just gonna whack off the top portion of both the lining and either your velveteen or towel, and you will have that edge, which will then be a raw edge. You're going to tuck in the raw edge and then put the base of your handle in, and then top stitch across to keep that in place.
Do you think that you would be able to push in your corner so that you didn't actually have to take it out? Like, could
You mean
we...
just take the seam out?
No, I mean literally just instead of cutting it, just push
maybe.
it in like this.
Look at Sarah. You might have made a bag or two, huh?
I might have made a bag or two.
So Sarah's suggesting that instead of cutting the fabric, you literally invert the tip of the corner there, tip there, whatever word you want.
Yep.
My ends haven't, this is way too long, obviously, over here. I need to cut that. And then get it to the right length, obviously. Insert that and then stitch so you don't actually have any raw edges. That is a beautiful idea. I knew I kept you around for some reason. I love that. That is fantastic.
So that's totally what I would do. And if I needed to shape like the point of my handle to fit in better, I would definitely just kind of crease, fold them in.
Make a point of that so that it fit in there and
Yeah.
supported it.
Yep.
Yeah, like literally point your, ow. Watch those. Those are really sharp. It's your birthday. I don't want you to get hurt. Watch out for those tips. So
Good
literally, good tip, right? Smart ass. Literally taking the tips of your bag ends and angling them so they sit in there nice, and then sewing across. That is really smart. I like that.
Yep, that's what I would do.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very good. Yep. So there you go. And once you have that stitched and your lining piece top stitched or closed, you could even pin that and then sew that all as one so you don't have multiple pieces. That would be really smart too. There you go.
That's why you watch this video. For all of our
For all of us, right?
Yes.
So,
all right. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody, I hope everybody brings their bags in and shows us what you make. It'll be a lot of fun to see
This is going to be my in the car summer, don't have a purse. I need to throw my wallet in something to go shopping. That's what this was going to be.
It'll be very cute. It's very you.
I'm going to have to take that apart and redo it.
Such is life. Okay. Well, that is all we have for
today.
This Bella Box Stitch
that's
Along.
this morning.
That's this morning.
Not today. We'll be back.
Thank you guys for everybody for all of the happy birthday wishes.
Yes.
It's been a really nice weekend, and I'm sure it'll be. We have another 3-day weekend coming up, so
we do.
No complaints.
No. So we will be back this afternoon talking about something.
Yes, we haven't
We
decided
haven't discussed that yet because I haven't seen her in, I don't know.
Since Thursday.
4 days, 5 days? I don't know how many it's been.
Yep.
And we'll figure that out. We'll post it and you guys can see what that is. You'll know when we know. And then we'll be back on Thursday with, I think we have the hoop.
Yeah.
And then next Tuesday we've got, I don't know.
Runner. We have 2 more.
Table runner and the hoop are one of those days. Tuesday and next Thursday. This Thursday, next Tuesday.
Yes.
Wow, words are so hard. Sorry. We'll see you then.
Bye, guys.
Bye.